good 5/8 out 3/4, but well within himself. He wants to super fit, and it was just an outstanding work.
A week out from the race, what goes through your head? What are you trying to manage in terms of the horse and his condition?
Just trying to get him in there happy and sound, and he's a very rare horse, so if you could just get over there in the starting gate the right way and get a good trip, he's going to be tough to beat.
What makes him unique to maybe feel like you're making progress, taking him over there and getting him used to everything?
Yeah, he's visited the gate twice this week, and he did really well, and there's no need to take him back.
What makes him kind of unique to some of the other horses?
He's just a naturally born rare talent. You know, this horse obviously has been that way for probably his entire life. You're talking about a horse that's a $2 million yearling, and he's by a stallion that's went in the Hall of Fame, and the mother won a Grade 1, and he's everything you want as a trainer. We're just trying to really stay out of his way. I mean, me and my team have been managing this horse, just trying to allow him to be who he's meant to be. And don't do anything to prevent him from getting there, really.
Seems like he has another gear. Is that fair?
I'd say so. I mean, he's got a tremendous amount of power and endurance. He might not be the fastest horse early in his races, but once he gets moving, it does seem like his stride's probably 2 to the horses next to him.
Tyler was on Domestic Product. Obviously, he rides Sierra Leone, but he rode that other horse as well in the Tampa Bay Derby. Talk to me about putting him on him as opposed to say Sierra Leone this morning.
Well, my rider Chris Bond knows Sierra Leone so well, and everything's been going so perfect with that relationship there. I wasn't thinking of ever not having him work the horse, meaning Chris. With Irad having to go to New York to ride today, he wasn't able to work Domestic Product, but Tyler was perfect because he's ridden him before, like you said. So I often do that on a daily basis with my workouts. Different jockeys come out that I use that are on my team and breeze different horses, even if they're going to ride them or not ride them, just for various reasons that I have. And it was actually good. And Tyler was quite happy with his horse as well.
Yeah. Close positions tonight. I mean, how important are they? Do we make too big a deal about it?
No, it's tough. It's a tough process to get through. There's a handful of posts you'd really rather not have with certain horses, so you just try to avoid those landmines and end up with a post that can't hurt you. It's much like training. We weren't going to go out there and do anything to win the race today. There's plenty you can do to lose it. I think with posts it's the same way. You're just trying to get a post where you don't lose the race there. I don't think there's a magic post where you're going to win tonight.
Are there things that you've learned from previous derbies that you apply this year that help you with this derby?
Yeah, certainly. There's things you learn as you go away, little things, go through them all, but how you approach the last works and playing around weather around Louisville, it can change, day to day, and things maybe you shouldn't worry so much about because it's not as important. Other things about schooling the horses and getting them used to surroundings and such. So you learn from what you're doing here, from things that worked well or mistakes, and you also keep your eyes open to people around you that are doing well. I mean, sometimes you pick up a few things there.
The ones you want to avoid is maybe the far inside?
I think so. I don't know that anyone really wants to be buried way down in the first couple of posts. Not so sure I want to be far outside either. Even though with Sierra Leone, he's a bit of a closer, a deep closer, so you drop off. But anywhere towards the middle seems, again, to be safe posts that aren't going to get you beat, and that's really what I'm looking for.
The paddock in years past has been jam-packed. What do you think of this new setup?
I haven't had a chance to really look at it too close. I took a peek just now when I was going to breeze. I have a horse in tonight, so I'll have a better idea after I'm in there actually working in the paddocks.
When I've watched your works when you work too in company, they seem very controlled. The riders have a hold, and it seems like that's fairly consistent with your works. Talk about your style, whereas, say, some trainers may let, a high-profile horse, gallop out way past the workmate, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, Frankel, the guy I work for, he really taught me that. He liked to have horses in control, always maybe saving a little bit for what's ahead. He always felt the horses moved better when they're against the bridle and held together. I generally don't like to push my horses off the bit in the works too much. I think at that point their gait changes a little bit, and just for me, I feel my horses are sounder that way. Don't get me wrong, I want them to be moving along at the right pace, but very rarely I like to what I want to see too much separation or horses being pushed off the bridle ass too hard. It's just not my style.
You've been so close in this race. Any lessons learned from having your heart broken a couple times?
Yeah, certainly. You like I said earlier, you do learn a lot, and it's a hard race to win. It's when you come close and you're walking back after the race, it does go through your mind if you're going to be able to get back here again, because it takes a rare horse to get there, and it takes even a more rare horse to get to the quarter pole when most of the race has been decided at that point. There's a ton of horses backing up going the wrong way. I've been in a couple derbies where down the backside you're already done, and but I've been probably 3 times I can remember turn for home. I thought the horse had a chance, so it's hard to get here to have 2 good horses with a chance. You feel very fortunate.
Given that you've been so close before, Chad, how would you kind of compare your confidence levels heading into this year's race with previous times you've come to the Derby with good chances?
I mean, I feel pretty confident. I mean, I've come in here before with a couple of horses. I mean, Good Magic, I was pretty confident the horse would run a big race, and with Zandon, I felt super confident a couple of years ago based on his last work here. And both horses got really good trips. They didn't have any excuse. They just couldn't quite get there. So with my 2 horses, I feel as confident that I'll have good runs in the Derby if they can get clear trip.
You also have your Oaks fillies, obviously with regulatory risk going this morning. What did you want to see from her, and did you get what you wanted out of that?
I did. She did a little lighter piece of work. She's been in steady work up in New York and been up there in the winter, really developing, and she's come pretty far forward. She's obviously not one of the main contenders in here. We decided to bring her down because she's just come forward so much. She could get a piece of this race, maybe. It'd be pretty valuable for her, so we're going to give her a shot in there.
Yeah. In ways and means, does she come out of yesterday's move in good shape?
She did. She did. She luckily the track cooled off. It was such a fast work, but I will say after I got to watch the work over a few times and look at all the other fast works yesterday, it seemed the track was very, very fast. So I don't think it's going to hurt her. She came out of the race super, and she's an extremely rare talent herself. Very, very fast horse. And so, onto the Oaks with her, and I expect her to run well.
Pretty brutal trips, her last 2. I mean, she
Yeah.
ran well, but did not really unfold the way I'm sure you wanted. Talk a little bit about those, and for that matter, the fact that she could still, place in light of those
Yeah,
trips.
no, she's super talented horse, and she's actually found trouble in all 3 of her starts. Even her debut, she was a bit tangled leaving the gate. So the key to her is going to be if she can leave there clean and forward. I want her very forward in the race, if not on the lead.
When did you find out you were getting Sierra Leone, and when did you get it, and what do you get for the layperson for $2.3 million?
Well, when they bought the horse at Saratoga, I knew I was going to get the horse because Peter Brandt was involved. We had spoke about the horse. Mr. Brandt and I liked the horse very much. The Coolmore team, led by Paul Shanahan, MB Magner, they liked the horse quite a bit. So when they decided to partner on the horse, the understanding was if they got him, it was going to me. So I knew then, and I was quite excited about it. And, look, he's a super looking, impeccably made and bred horse. It doesn't mean they can run. I've had, good looking, well-bred horses come to this barn before, and they don't quite pan out to their expectations. But for this horse, he has, and he's really everything and more they thought when they bought him.
Chad, with Domestic Product, he didn't give his pace in Tampa in either race. What can you tell us about him and how he fits here, why he fits here?
The horse, and that's a great point. The horse hasn't had good paces to run in, and he's been able to overcome it and run pretty good races. I think if he gets some pace to run at, you're going to see this horse get the 1.25 miles the right way. We're going to get Irad on the horse, who he hasn't been on the horse, but obviously his career, he's just in peak form right now, winning Eclipse year after year. And I could see him if he could save a little ground in that first turn and maybe be in that second flight right behind the pace duel, hopefully. I could see this horse making the first run when they're turning for home and being in the picture.
He's flying under the radar a little.
He's a beautiful horse, and I will say he's always been highly thought of. His form's a little more spotty, a lot more spotty than Sierra Leone. It's not straightforward. In his debut, he caught some kickback, and he didn't quite like it. We were all surprised, including the jockey. Flavian Pratt actually came out and worked him, and he begged to ride the horse. He said, I think this could be a Derby horse. When he first worked the horse, he knew back then when he worked him, and he just didn't fire. So then he came back and won a good race. Then he caught a muddy track in the Remsen. He's kind of been all over. But this year, we took the blinkers back off him. He's 2 really good races, and I do expect him to run well.
Right. And Sierra Leone looks a very curious horse.
Yeah.
And I think I may have thought wind earlier that you've done a bit of schooling. Any concerns about the big crowd on Derby Day? And what
No.
work have you been doing?
No, he's a very smart horse. He is a bit curious. You'll see him in the lane sometimes, kind of cock his head in and look. But we put a little blinker on him that seems to have solved most of that. And he's a real gentleman of a horse. He's a bit curious, but he's very manageable.
Okay, they made some changes to the surface. Have you noticed much difference?
I have. I quite like it. You can see the color. It seems like it has a little bit more clay in it, which I think is a good thing. Myself, my preference is to race and train on tracks that have a little bit more clay on them, whether it be on the top or on the base of the track. I think it's more forgiving. It has a little bit more bounce to it. I've been pretty pleased with what I've seen here at Churchill so far with the track.